Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This is a continuation of the 100 greatest currency notes of all time as picked out by Q. David Bowers and David M. Sunman. We are on number 50. Today we are doing notes 50 through 41. And once again, this isn't the list that I put together. This is a list that they compiled from people's suggestions. So it's not necessarily even their list. It's just their tabulations of what people said were going to be the top 100. I personally would have done other notes, but this is the official list of the 100 greatest American currency notes as they published in this book. So let's get on with it. Number 50 this week. Number 50 is from 1886. It is the $1 Martha Washington note. $1 Martha Washington note from 1886. This is the very first $1 silver certificate. They had larger denominations of silver certificates prior to this, but when they first made a $1 denomination, it wasn't until 1886. Martha Washington is the first actual woman to be pictured on currency. There were allegories of other women, but they were mostly fictional characters. This is the first named woman you are going to find on currency. So that in and of itself is pretty cool. Take a look at the back. This is the 1886 version, so it has a lot of the green. There is another version, I believe, the 1890 or 1891 version, which isn't quite as green. It's got a lot more white open spaces. But this one has the large seal, as you can see right here. $1 payable to the bearer on demand. This particular note, there's approximately 3,000 to 5,000 of these that are out there, and generally speaking, they can be gotten for around $400 or so. So yeah, it is a note that you can add to your list. Number 50, the 1886 $1 silver certificate. Number 49 on the list is the $500 gold certificate from 1882. You can see right here on the top, it says active July 12th, 1882, and a familiar picture of Abraham Lincoln on this particular one. $500 in gold coin. You have to remember we had $20 gold coins that were approximately an ounce. So yeah, you ended up with quite a few gold coins. A lot of weight. In other words, having the certificate made it easier to carry that kind of cash around. This is a gold coin note, as you can see. It has the bright orange back as well. $500. Real cool picture of the eagle holding the American flag. Just really cool. Let's see. There have been deposited in the Treasury of the United States $500 in gold coin. This is number 49 on the list. 49 on the list. There's approximately 175 to 200 of these notes still out there, and they're going for upwards of $50,000 to $75,000 if you can get your hands on one. That's number 49, the 1882 $500 gold certificate. Number 48 on the list, in my opinion, is very underrated. It is the May 10th, 1775 $1 continental currency. Some of the things that stand out in that title is 1775, which is obviously well before 1776. And the fact that it says continental currency rather than colonial currency. This means it was backed by the Continental Congress. What does that mean? That means this is actually the first dollar for our country. The $1 continental currency bill from May 10th, 1775. One of the things you're going to notice is on the back, they use the impression of a leaf as part of the security measures because every leaf is unique. So they were not able to use multiple leaves in order to do the plate. It would make it easier for a counterfeit to stand out. Granted, the texture isn't quite the greatest. You can see that Benjamin Franklin right here is the one that invented that idea. The 1775 $1 continental currency is number 48 on the list. There's approximately 1,500 to 2,500 of these still out there, and they're actually very affordable, all things considered. You can find these for under $500. In lesser condition, you can find them for under $100. So yeah, if you get the opportunity to pick one of these up, this is a great addition to your collection. Number 48, the $1 continental currency from May 10th, 1775. Number 47 is the 1869 Rainbow $5 legal tender. This one is the wood chopper, the original wood chopper, with the rainbow pattern. It has the blue that fades into the green like that. You get the bright red stamp. You get the whitish yellow of the paper, the dark green on the back. Yeah, easily identifiable as the rainbow. And it was done for security purposes, having that the blue into green like that. 1869 was the only series that did that. Once you got into, I want to say 1878 and 1880, they removed the blue and green and kept the same outlook. The wood chopper has the standard Americana look. You've got the guy with his wife, his baby. You can see his cabin in the back. He's got his axe, he's got his dog, he's got his gun. Just the typical view of mid-19th century home life. The wood chopper, there's approximately 1,000 to 1,500 of the 1869 still floating around out there. And you can pick these up for somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 in decent shape. Maybe a little bit more, but yeah, that's about the going rate for these. The 1869 wood chopper, $5 legal tender, number 47 on the list. Number 46 on the list, the 1923 $10 legal tender, also known as the poker chip. Not for this right here, but for these big old circles on the back. The poker chip from 1923, one of the most collectible notes out there, mainly because there was only one signature combination and essentially one print run. There was only, what did they say, 600,000 of these? 696,000 of these notes were all that were printed. So there weren't many to begin with. Currently, there's anywhere from 800 to 1,200 of these that still exist. And you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 to $5 grand to find one in decent shape. The $10 1923 legal tender is number 46 on the list. Once again, the front and the back. Once again, seeing those big old poker chips on the back. Once again, only having the one signature combination, which makes these very rare because they were so short printed. Number 46 on the list. Number 45 on the list is the Ace. It is the 1875 $1 national banknote. It's known as the Ace just because Ace was one, essentially. National banknotes, every bank had the opportunity to become a national bank. The Treasury would send someone out and find out if that bank was viable, if it had enough money to cover all of its debts. If it did, it was allowed to put money on deposit, and it would be given a charter number, and any bank that had a charter number could have money issued under their particular bank. Thus, being a national bank was a coveted thing as far as individual banks. If you were in town and you were going to choose a bank, you would definitely want a national bank versus just a local bank, because this one has been verified. The money would exchange, of course, anywhere, but having the charter number is what made such a big deal. The early notes, the early $1 notes, didn't even have the charter number stamped on it here. The back of the note would feature the eagle representing the U.S., and it would feature a vignette of the particular state or the particular territory where that bank was located. So that is the 1875 $1 national banknote. There's approximately 5,000 to 7,000 of these out there, and depending on which bank issued it, they could be upwards of $7 grand, or you can find lesser ones for probably around $1,000 or so. That's number 45, the $1 Ace national banknote. Number 44 is the $50 note from the same series, the original and the 1875 series of national currency. This is the $50 note. $50 note, once again, you're talking about banks that have chartered and had deposited money with the treasurer in Washington, D.C. This one features Washington crossing the Delaware there. On the back, you can see here, aside from the picture in the center, you've got the eagle, and you've got, this particular one is from Iowa, so you would have Iowa's logo right there. Now, there was the original version, which was 1865, and those would not have the charter number printed on them. And then starting in 1875, that's when you would find the charters on them. Either one would make the top 100 list. This one, like I said, number 44, and there's only about 90 to 100 of these that are still out there. Very, very, very difficult to find, easily over 25K if you wanted to get one of these. That is number 44, the first issue and the 1875 issue $50 note. Number 43 on the list is the continental currency known as the Fujio note. The Fujio note was made in several denominations. This one is 1/6 of a dollar. And the thing that made this one so interesting is difficult to see on mine. Right down here, it says the word currency, but they spelt it wrong. They spelt it EY at the end. And according to the book, that was one of the big mistakes that was on there. One of the things that you can barely make out here is a sundial. There is a sun casting a shadow on there, and here it says Fujio, Fugio, and that means I fly. So the sun is casting the shadow on the sundial. And if you read real close here, it says, mind your business, which is always amusing to see on a note. The back of the note has 13 rings, one for each of the 13 colonies, and they are individually identified. This one is, like I said, in rather rough shape, but I wanted to get one of these because it's obviously one of the top 100. Number 43 overall, the Fujio note from 1776. There are roughly 2,000 to 3,000 of these still floating around, and you can get them for anywhere from $300 to $800. Number 42 on the list is the Series 1874 to 1880 $500 legal tender note. Theirs is without the glare. The note does feature Major General Joseph King Mansfield. The $500 legal tender, you can take a look at the back there. You can see this is one of the notes that does have quite a bit of green to make it a little tougher on the counterfeiters, or at least so they thought. It turns out that adding more white, as you can see on this side over here, allows you to see the fibers in the note a lot clearer. Now, this particular note wasn't really circulated heavily because these were just not denominations that you were going to see, so there weren't a ton of these printed. There's only 40 to 50 of these still known, and if one was to come available, you're talking roughly $135,000 for a note like this. Once again, this one is number 42, the $500 legal tender from 1874 to 1880. And finally this week, number 41, this is an 1869 $1 legal tender, also from the Rainbow series. $1 Rainbow, this one, like I said, from 1869, features George Washington. The rainbow pattern is this blue that fades off into the green like that. It was done for security purposes, and a lot of you are going to note that it does have a star. This is not a star. All of the notes were star notes like that. Taking a look at the back, you see the deep green. It's interesting how they have the U and the S intertwined like that. It's just a really cool design. And then, of course, you can see the $5,000 fine or 15 years imprisonment at hard labor, or both, if you choose to try to counterfeit one of these. There's approximately 2,000 to 3,000 of these that still exist, and to find one in decent shape could easily be over $1,000. Just having one of these, like I said, they're one of 2,000. That alone is pretty impressive. The 1869 legal tender, the $1 rainbow note, this one is number 41 for this week. And that's what I've got for you guys, and tune in next week when we hit numbers 40 through 31. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.